ASMR video on my channel. For this video, I'm going to be doing a fact reading. But unlike my last two fact reading videos, which were all about animals, this video is just going to be random facts about everything that I found on the internet. Since, for some reason, I haven't found a better way to do these videos, I am still going to be reading them off some paper. So, hopefully, that doesn't bother anybody. I just can't, since I record, I think the best way to do it would be if I had a camera, like a different camera, and then I could read them off my phone. That would be like the best way, or if I tried to memorize them maybe, but there's like over 50, so that would be pretty hard to memorize, I think. But since I record with my phone, I can't use my phone while I make the video, you know? My phone is my camera, and then I obviously have this Blue Yeti microphone, but my phone is my camera. So, until I can get a better camera, this is just gonna have to be how these videos are made. So, bear with me until we get some more improvements for the channel. I don't have a timeline for when I'm expecting to get a better camera, but who knows. So, all that being said, let's get right into the video, shall we? Fact number 1. Donkey Kong got his name because his creator believed donkey meant stupid in English and wanted to convey the impression that the character was a stupid ape. That's interesting. I don't actually know who created Donkey Kong, but I'm assuming it's the same guy that made Mario. More than 1/5 of all the calories consumed by humans worldwide is provided by rice alone. That's actually crazy. More than 1/5 of all the calories consumed by humans worldwide is provided by rice alone. I guess if you think about it, pretty much like every country ever uses rice as like a side, or something like as just they eat it with anything, you know, like meat, any kind of meat or whatever. So, not surprising to see that rice is consumed so much daily. People can have a psychological disorder called boanthropy that makes them believe that they are a cow. They try to live their life as a cow. That's hilarious. I've never heard of that or seen it. I feel like that must be like the rarest thing ever, because I feel like there would be videos of that like on TikTok or something, but whatever. The name for the shape of Pringles is called a hyperbolic paraboloid. A hyperbolic paraboloid. I've heard that before. There is a McDonald's in every continent except Antarctica. There is a McDonald's in every continent except Antarctica. Man, anybody that lives in Antarctica is missing out. Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head was the first toy to be advertised on TV. Mr. Potato Head was the first toy to be advertised on TV. A duel between 3 people is actually called a truel. A duel between 3 people is actually called a truel with a T. I forgot to mention this at the beginning, but I didn't fact check any of these, so if there's something on here that's incredibly wrong, I'm sorry, I didn't check them. Don't blame me. The stage before frostbite is called frostnip. The stage before frostbite is called frostnip. I think I've heard that before. The 2 tiny holes in every big pen ensure that the air pressure is the same both inside and outside the pen, which helps the ink flow to the tip. That's pretty impressive because it makes you realize how much kind of thought process has to go into something as small as a big pen. It's pretty cool. In South Korea, there is an emergency number, 113, the number 113 is an emergency number used to report spies. I wonder how many fake calls they get a day. Japan is facing a ninja shortage. There is a high demand for ninja shows, but it is a dying tradition and companies have trouble finding properly trained ninjas. That's interesting. I don't know what really qualifies as a ninja show. Like, do they want people using the weapons, like displaying weapons and certain techniques, or can you just hire like some acrobats to dress up as ninjas and entertain some kids? I don't know. I guess depends on what they want. The process by which bread toasts is called the Maillard reaction. The Maillard reaction. I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Maillard reaction is the process by which bread toasts. Weird Al Yankovic wrote Albuquerque to be as a joke specifically to annoy people for 12 minutes. It ended up becoming one of his most popular songs. I don't think I've ever heard that song. Maybe I have, I just don't recognize the name. But I think I would remember hearing a 12-minute song. Admiral Akbar from Star Wars Return of the Jedi was not a man in a suit. It was actually a giant puppet. I didn't know that. Admiral Akbar was not a man in a suit. It was actually a giant puppet. That's cool. Even though Fruit Loops are different colors, they all have the exact same flavor. Even though Fruit Loops are different colors, they all have the exact same flavor. I feel like I knew that. I don't know. I haven't had Fruit Loops in a long time. But I don't remember thinking that they tasted different. Pretty sure I always noticed they all tasted the same. The first roller coaster was used to transport coal down a hill. After people found that it could reach speeds up to 50 miles per hour, tourists asked to ride on it for a few cents. That's really cool. Personally, I love roller coasters. When I was younger, I was like terrified of them, like most kids. There's like a local, really small amusement park that my mom would take me and my siblings to when we were little kids, and there was a super small like dragon roller coaster there, and it barely moves. It barely goes up. It's like super low to the ground. It was for kids, right? But I was terrified of that thing. I remember every time we would go back to that park, this was when I was like super little, like 5 or 6 or whatever, we would go back to that park, and my mom would say like, let's ride the dragon roller coaster, and I'd be like, alright, I'm ready, let's do it. And it would start going, and I would just burst into tears, start freaking out, screaming. It was terrible. But over time, I grew to love roller coasters. I've ridden so many, and yeah, I think they're really fun now, but it was definitely a process getting to learn how to enjoy them. So, that's a pretty cool fact. And a fact about me as well. That little backstory. Most toilet paper sold for home use in France is pink. Most toilet paper sold for home use in France is pink. That's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen French toilet paper, so there you go. Marmite. Marmite was one of the most confiscated items at airports from the UK. To overcome this issue, Marmite made smaller ones for traveling. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what Marmite is. Sorry. Is that like Vegemite in Australia? Is it like that? I don't know. Warner Brothers canceled Home Alone because they didn't want to spend $14 million on it. 21st Century Fox continued the production, and the film grossed $476 million worldwide. And then obviously they went on to make more movies and probably make even more money, so that sucks for Warner Brothers. They missed out, but I'm sure they're doing fine. Cards Against Humanity bought an island in Maine to preserve wildlife. It is called Hawaii 2. Hawaii 2. That's really cool. It's nice when big companies that have a lot of money use their money to do good things. So, on to the next page of facts. gesture, you know, just easy to accept. I'm sure they just send the elephants over on a boat and everyone gets to look at them, you know, for the local zoo. I don't know if they had zoos in 1862, but could have started one. The television was invented only 2 years after the invention of sliced bread. The television was invented only 2 years after the invention of sliced bread. Wow. I've never really understood what that meant, like when someone says they're older than sliced bread or something like that. You know the phrase that uses the word sliced bread, right? Is it just like the bread that comes in a bag pre-sliced? Like is that sliced bread? Like were loaves sold in the whole and then you just slice it yourself? I don't know. Because I'm pretty sure people were slicing the bread at home and eating it like that. So sliced bread already existed. But selling it pre-sliced, is that the invention? I have no idea. In 2005, a fortune cookie company called Wonton Food Inc. correctly foretold lottery numbers, resulting in 110 winners and an investigation. No fraud was involved. That's crazy. It's crazy enough for one person to win the lottery. So I guess technically whoever writes the numbers won the lottery, and all those people just happen to follow them. That's pretty awesome. 2 PlayStation 1 games, FIFA 2001 and Gran Turismo 2, have scratch and sniff discs. The FIFA 2001 smelled like a soccer field, while Gran Turismo 2 smelled like car tires. That's pretty awesome. I don't know how they do that. Maybe like a little patch on the front, but you gotta be careful to not damage the disc, I guess. 8 of the 10 largest statues in the world are of Buddhas. 8 of the 10 largest statues in the world are of Buddhas. That's really awesome. I've seen some huge Buddha statues before. Like, I've seen pictures of them. I've never seen them in person, so. But that's really cool. In 2015, a silver coin with Superman on the head side was made, which is legal tender in Canada. There were only 350,000 produced. Wow. That's really funny. I've never heard of a Superman coin. And you can actually use it to buy things in Canada, so that's awesome. I'm sure they're a collector's item now, probably worth a bunch of money since there weren't that many made. It took the creator of the Rubik's Cube, Erno Rubik, 1 month to solve the cube after creating it. As of June 2018, the world record is 4.22 seconds. For anyone that watched a few videos ago, my tapping on items video with the thumbnail is like a PlayStation and a Rubik's Cube in the thumbnail. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that fact while talking about the Rubik's Cube, so it's funny that it pops up in this video as well. For anyone that watched that video, you'll know what I'm talking about. Japanese square watermelons are ornamental plants and are not edible. Japanese square watermelons are ornamental plants and are not edible. Do not eat the Japanese square watermelons. Tigers have striped skin, not striped fur. The stripes are like fingerprints, and no 2 tigers have the same pattern. I'm 90% sure that fact was in one of my animal fact videos. Let me know if it sounds familiar, because I'm pretty sure it's from one of those videos. First or second one, I don't know. Ketchup originated in China as a boiled-down brine of pickled fish and spices called ketchup. Ketchup. I guess that's where the name comes from. Boeing uses potatoes to test their in-flight Wi-Fi. As they reflect and absorb the signals similarly to people, the project is called Synthetic Personnel Using Dialectic Substitution, or SPUDS. That's funny. I know people use potatoes all the time for science experiments, or like elementary school experiments, not like actual experiments, I don't think. But I guess according to this fact, they do use it for actual experiments, so that's pretty cool. In 2014, Sony made a cassette tape that can store 185 terabytes of data. That's insane. 185 terabytes. Oh my god. you could store on 185 terabytes, or like how many games. That's crazy. The collars on men's dress shirts used to be detachable. This was to save on laundry costs, as the collar was the part that needed cleaning the most frequently. I guess that's because you sweat on the collar, I guess. I don't know. There's a flower that smells like chocolate. Native to Mexico, this dark red flower is not edible. It is called Cosmos atrosanguineus, or chocolate cosmos. Sorry if I butchered the Spanish pronunciation right there. Said it kind of slowly just to say it. In 2014, a missing woman on vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered that she was in the search party looking for herself. I don't even know how that happens. That's crazy. If you sneeze while traveling at 60 miles per hour, your eyes are closed for an average of 50 feet. I've heard that before. That's pretty funny. Your tonsils could grow back if there was tissue left behind during the removal process. Sometimes it's accidental, other times it's left on purpose. Why does that sound so ominous? Like other times left on purpose? Like it's a conspiracy or something? I don't know. I personally still have my tonsils. Growing up, I remember seeing a lot of people get their tonsils removed or seeing it on TV. I'm pretty sure one of my older sisters got hers removed. But I think she's the only one in my family, or in like my generation. So, that's funny. But yeah, I still have my tonsils. I think it's like, if I'm thinking about it correctly, like once you get your tonsils removed, you eat like a bunch of ice cream or something. Because I remember they always would mention that on TV, like Nickelodeon or Disney Channel or whatever. If one of the characters would get their tonsils removed, they would make a big deal about them eating a bunch of ice cream. Let me know if you remember that. Alligators will give manatees the right of way if they are swimming near each other. Alligators will give manatees the right of way if they're swimming near each other. I don't know if I'm exposing myself as uneducated or whatnot, but I did not know that alligators and manatees would ever be anywhere near each other. That is very funny to think about. On to the next page. This is going to be our, let me count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there's 5 left. These are our last 5 facts for the video. Crystal, the monkey from The Hangover 2 and Night at the Museum, has her own IMDb page. Good for you, Crystal, getting some recognition for your work in a film. Magpies. Magpies are considered one of the most intelligent animals in the world, and the only non-mammal species able to recognize themselves in a mirror test. The only non-mammal species able to recognize themselves in a mirror test. That's pretty awesome. Expedia.com, Hotels.com, Hotwire.com, Trivago, Travelocity, and Orbitz are all owned by the same company, Expedia Inc. That is so crazy. Not to get too conspiracy theorist or anything, but I've heard a lot about how most of the companies that we know are, like a lot of the competing, or what we think are competing companies, they're all owned by like the same company, and that's another example, I guess. All of those websites you can go to buy, hotel tickets or plane tickets, whatever they sell. It's crazy. It's all owned by one thing, so maybe like you're talking to a friend and you tell him you use Expedia.com and he says, like they say, oh, I use Hotwire.com, it's better. They're owned by the same company, it doesn't matter. It all goes to the same company and it's all the same. That's really crazy to think about. And it's definitely something to look into if you're interested in how the world and economy circulates, I guess. But I don't know too much about it. I've just heard a lot about it. The world record for the longest human chain, like humans holding hands, is 652.4 miles, and it consisted of 5 million people in Bangladesh as part of a campaign. That's crazy. 5 million people in Bangladesh, and 652.4 miles long. That's pretty cool. And here's the last fact for this video. Baked beans. Baked beans are actually not baked, but stewed. Baked beans are actually not baked, but stewed. I didn't know that. Well, I don't know. I've never really thought about the name baked beans, you know? It's just a name. I never put any thought into that. I never assumed they were baked or anything. But, so there you have it. I don't know how many facts that was in total. So, the title of this video is probably not going to have a number in it, but I hope you enjoyed listening to them. Maybe you learned something, or hopefully you just found the video relaxing and it helped you get to sleep. And feel free to let me know what you thought about this video, if you like these kinds of videos, what you thought about the facts. Maybe there was one you thought was really funny, or it stood out to you as super interesting. Maybe there was one that you know, and let me know if, just talk to me in the comments. You know, I love to talk to anybody, so, yeah. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it extremely relaxing.